The questions that are important for us, especially because I'm not involved in the dialogue, I am a citizen, are three questions. There's a responsibility of the museum, because my proximity is with my museum. The representation of the custody is with the Kenyan National Museum, and not just the building, but the logic of the museum. And for me, the museum is as culpable as the European Museum. I cannot ask questions of integrity of the British Museum without asking our museum the same questions. They are structured, they're imagined in the same colonialism. If they cannot have a decolonization conversation, even with the collections that they have here, even with the representation of the objects that they have here, then I think we will miss something big. But I don't want to be unfair to them. I have seen that they took the Omieri back to the shores of Lake Victoria for Luos to dance with the Omieri. That is important. And if that is the beginning of this conversation around decolonization, then let it be. Let Kenyans dance with their objects. Let them touch them. Let them misbehave with those objects. Let them break them. Let's do what we need to do to reconnect ourselves with our heritage. We don't need rules on how to reconnect ourselves with our heritage. Responsibility of the museum is one. The second is the responsibility of our international collaborators. Obviously, the objects are handled, they're stored, and easily they could be the only objects that we have from that period. Because the rest of the cups our great-grandfathers used, they disappeared. I don't know them, I've never seen them, and obviously they were not all robbed. So probably these are the only collections that could be, by the incidence of this interruption, that could remain. But what is the role of those custodians? What is the role of international institutions? I feel there has to be an intelligent conversation around a framework for repatriation. It cannot be Jim Chuchu negotiating with France. It cannot be Kenya negotiating with France directly. Kenya, Jim Chuchu, Njoki, Ngumi, has to negotiate within a framework that understands our anger. So the large institutions here have to create a framework that has principles. The principles that you cannot disrespect me when you're asking me how to return my things. You cannot ask me whether I know how to. I can break it, and it is not your responsibility. We have to have, whether it's UNESCO or the EU or GOTE together with everyone who feels that they are part of this conspiracy, there has to be an international convention or framework, even if it is one page, that establishes the principles around which this repatriation happens. Because tomorrow it will be the George Gachara of Tanzania speaking passionately into a microphone. And then they'll have to discuss with France or Germany or India. There has to be a process that is intelligent, that is resourced, but is also respectful. And what is my responsibility as a citizen? I feel that the most important part is that artists in our countries get a new chance to help us to reconcile ourselves with ourselves. A process of reconciliation has to happen, an art renaissance that connects us past this confusion, that interprets us back to our objects, and that brings our objects back to our lives. Otherwise, they will be in cages, outside houses, fearing the same trauma of loss.